Yes.
What did she say to Dr. Tufts?
She reported, Dr. Tufts reported that Lindsay's psychiatric condition was generally deteriorating. That's a checkbox on one of the forms that her records.
What did Lindsay say her symptoms were at that point?
That she was having the racing thoughts, and that she was also feeling, as I said, not like herself, that her depression was worse than it had been. I believe that's also around the time that Dr. Tufts thought of trying a medication called Zulresso.
Zulresso.
Yes.
And what is that? Is that you need that by way of injection?
Yes, Zulresso is no longer marketed. It wasn't a particularly successful medication. It requires a 60-hour continuous IV infusion.
In a hospital setting or in a medical setting?
You have to be medically monitored. It doesn't necessarily need to be a hospital, but those are not necessarily things that can be done outside of a hospital.
So she didn't do the Zulresso, though, right?
She did not. Okay. It also costs $34,000 just for the medication, not for the monitoring.
Okay. What's the next thing that happened with Dr. Tufts and Lindsay Clancy, sir?
Well, if I look at my affidavit, when she stopped taking the medication, the Zoloft, she now felt better, as she had felt before she took the Zoloft, but she was less anxious.
What was the next medication?
She was put on Benadryl and had some difficulty sleeping, but also was worried that night because her son was coughing, and she worried a great deal about the children's health.
And that would be something that would also intrude on her sleep, worrying about her children?
Yes.
Okay. What other symptomology traveling through November into December did she relate to Dr. Tufts, according to your review of the medical records?
Well, she talked about things like dizziness, feeling sedated in the morning when she woke up, if she got any sleep at all. And I think she used the term brain fog at times. These are sometimes symptoms that people who are experiencing postpartum depression frequently complain about. She continued to complain about anxiety.
Well, it's not what they're complaining about, it's what they're living, right?
It is a very unpleasant experience, yes.
And continuing on through November, at some point did she leave or stop with Tufts and go to another healthcare provider by way of either emergency room initially and then another healthcare provider?
Yes.
Who was that?
She started treatment with Rebecca Gelada, a nurse practitioner at South Shore perinatal program.
Now, one of the things that was apparent that we, if you recall, I believe, that she also had initially been referred there by a friend of the family. Is that right? To that perinatal clinic?
Yes. My understanding from the records is that Miss Clancy's mother-in-law was friendly with a nurse practitioner who practiced in the perinatal program, and I believe it actually started the perinatal program.
Yes, and ultimately, or in the beginning, she was treated by a Julie Paul. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember looking at the medical records and that on November 27th of 2022, nurse practitioner Julie Paul reported that Lindsay stated that she was disassociated, that she was not in touch with reality. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And what is that a symptomology? Is that a symptom of psychosis, to be disassociated and not in touch with reality?
It certainly can be. Dissociation can mean that people feel like things around them are not real.
Right, and that's a pretty serious feeling to have, right?
It is.
And that's pretty common, unfortunately, with women that have postpartum psychosis, right?
It certainly can be, yes.
And what are the other symptomologies of postpartum psychosis, sir?
Well, psychosis in general just means a lack of understanding of what's real as opposed to what is not. So a person with psychosis can have delusions, which are fixed false beliefs. They could believe that, for example, they have been told by God to do something. Okay. They can also have hallucinations at times.
What kind of hallucinations?
Most people have auditory hallucinations, not visual hallucinations.
Hearing. Is that correct? Auditory is hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, as opposed to what?
As opposed to visual hallucinations?
Visual. And in the course of reviewing the medical records, did you see that, in fact, that Lindsay had auditory, no visual hallucinations, but auditory voices?
At times, she reported that she had heard a voice, yes.
Okay. Do you recall that as the time went by that she, in December, do you remember seeing in the medical records that she was relating that she was heavy, that she couldn't get out of bed, that she couldn't bathe, that she couldn't react, she couldn't love, she couldn't feel? Do you remember any of that from looking at the medical records?
Yes, those are all phrases that I recall from the medical records.
They were all coming from her, right?
Yes.
To the doctors.
Yes.
That would be Dr. Tufts and then Dr. Gelada. Is that right?
Nurse Gelada.
Sorry, nurse practitioner Gelada. Do you recall, sir, that nurse practitioner Gelada prescribed additional medications to Lindsay during that period of time from November through December?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they were?
I'd have to look to be sure, but I believe she continued the Benadryl at times. And there was some talk about the use of Buspar, but I believe that was Dr. Tufts.
About the what? I'm sorry?
I said it. I'm sorry?
What was the word you just used?
Sorry. Buspar, which is the brand name for buspirone, which is an anti-anxiety medication.
Right. How about Remeron? Was there ever a prescription for Remeron?
Remeron is a different kind of antidepressant, which helps people sleep a little bit and also sometimes helps their appetite. Yes, that was another.
The answer is yes, she was prescribed Remeron?
Yes, she was.
And that's an antidepressant?
It is.
Is that mocking or similar to, but not exactly the same as the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, Zoloft, Prozac, things of that nature, right?
It's similar in the sense that it has an antidepressant effect. It has some effect on serotonin. It has some effect on the adrenergic system as well.
The what?
The adrenergic system. Adrenaline is a neurotransmitter. It's also a hormone that circulates if you are suddenly scared or something like that. You get a surge of adrenaline. So if you were in a near-miss car accident, you might find yourself shaking because adrenaline will flood into your system from the adrenal glands. But it's also a neurotransmitter, and mirtazapine has some effect on that.
And you said mirtazapine. Is that the same as Remeron?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
So it's two different names, generic and not generic.
Mirtazapine is the generic name, and I was taught to use generic names. But
Okay.
yes, Remeron is.
Around this time, Lindsay has been prescribed the Prozac, she had been prescribed the Remeron, she had been prescribed the Benadryl, she had been prescribed other medications very similar to the SSRIs. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and does the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, that's fancy word, what does it mean? Isn't that serotonin in your brain? Doesn't it block or in some fashion affect your brain?
It's a little complicated to explain, but
Let's explain
serotonin.
it. Tell the jury what serotonin means and what happens when you take an SSRI, please.
Okay, serotonin in this sense is a neurotransmitter. The brain is a relatively complicated place. It has about 86 billion nerve cells. They've got thousands of connections to each other. but they're not like the wires in your house where you put two pieces of wire together, twist the copper, and then put a nut on that. Nerves don't touch. They go close to each other, but there's a space between them, and that's called the synaptic cleft. One nerve secretes a neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft, and it moves over to the next nerve in line where there's a receptor. Serotonin does that in the synaptic cleft. But it's also taken back up by the nerve that secreted it so it's reuptaked. So a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor slows down the reuptake of serotonin, prolonging its activity in the synaptic cleft, which causes the next nerve in line to be activated. I'm sorry that it's so complicated. So that's what serotonin is doing, and that's what a reuptake
When a woman
inhibitor
is
does.
pregnant or has just had a baby, can you tell me what effect, for example, hormones have when a person has a baby? I know we're two guys, but I mean, do you know what happens when a woman has a baby?
I've been at quite a few deliveries, yes.
Okay.
The fact is that many hormones increase. So progesterone is a hormone that many people have heard of. It's a component of birth control pills because it promotes gestation. So progesterone in a birth control pill fools the body into thinking it's pregnant, which means it doesn't, the woman doesn't produce eggs that could be fertilized, and that's the way the birth control pill works, or some of them do. Progesterone goes down very quickly after birth, as do many other hormones that are going up and then down after birth.
So if the hormones go up, and if there's an overload, if you will, might be the wrong word, of hormones, what effect does that have on the human body? What effect does that have on a woman who's just had a baby?
Well, it's quite complicated.
Just tell us basically what your feeling is. That they want to get into it, they can ask. But what effect does it have on a woman that has a baby?
Well, one of the other hormones that goes up is prolactin. So after the woman gives birth, prolactin promotes lactation, and it's a hormone that increases so that the mother can then breastfeed. These hormones are also seen in all mammals that feed their young through producing milk. So it's a very common mammalian thing to do. But other kinds of things can happen
Excuse me, did you say males or mammals?
Mammals.
Okay, because mammals don't breastfeed, right?
I'm sure they don't, yes.
Okay, so as far as the hormone, again, I would ask, when a woman has a baby, and the placenta, I think I pronounced that right, is through the birth, all of a sudden, what happens? It stops that massive influx of hormones, or it increases that influx of hormones?
Well, some hormones go up, like prolactin, and some hormones go down very quickly.
What effect does that have, in your experience, and your education and your research, on women that have a baby? What effect does that have on them?
Well, many women experience postpartum blues.
What is postpartum blues?
It's a feeling of...
Thing.
I'm sorry?
Sounds like a 50s thing. What's postpartum blues?
It's a feeling of low energy and being sad, not as serious or usually as long as postpartum depression.
What is postpartum depression? Is that the next level?
It's a more serious condition where the woman may feel that she can't connect to the baby, that she feels isolated, she has no energy, she may also have insomnia.
So, for example, if a woman is unable to sleep, feels as though she's losing a contact or connection with her infant, is stressing about not having that contact with her infant, feels that she's unable to emote or feel love or any emotions and can't relate to people, and also is out of reality, are those, or dissociative state, are those, in your opinion, symptoms of postpartum depression and or leading to postpartum psychosis?
Yes, they are.
And Lindsay had those symptoms, didn't she?
She reported all those symptoms, yes.
Doctor, when a doctor like Tufts is meeting with a person and checking the boxes, can that doctor give a blood test to the patient?
Certainly.
Is that important in your opinion, that a doctor give a patient, especially a woman who's coming to them for help with these symptoms, give them a blood test?
Yes.
And again, we all know what blood tests are, but just tell me, I mean, is that a simple test? Is it a complicated test?
It's fairly simple to have blood drawn, and there are many tests that are relevant, particularly after a woman has given birth.
Why?
Well, some women become anemic. Depends on how much blood loss might have occurred during birth, but there's usually some blood loss. So checking hemoglobin levels is important. The thyroid can be affected by delivery of the baby, and some women in the postpartum period develop inflammation of the thyroid. The thyroid is a very important gland that regulates many parts of the body.
Is that why many times when a competent psychiatrist is treating a patient that is postpartum after having a baby, that they might run, and I may be wrong saying it, but a thyroid test?
They would do most commonly two different kinds of thyroid tests. They would test for thyroid stimulating hormone, which goes up when the thyroid hormones that also can be tested for actually go down. So thyroid stimulating hormone is telling the body, make more thyroid hormone because it's not enough in the circulation.
Did Tufts ever use a blood test at all in her treatment?
No, she did not.
Did Tufts ever check the thyroid levels of Lindsay Clancy at all during her treatment?
No, she did not.
How about Gelada? Did they test any of those things?
No, Nurse Gelada did not do blood testing either.
Now, you've made reference, sir, to postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis. You're familiar with the DSM